guys, it's Vicky, and today I'm here to share with you my reading plans for March. I am so happy that March is already upon us because that means that winter is coming to an end because I hate winter. I'm over winter. March is also my birthday month, so that's always exciting. And March is also middle grade March, and I'm so excited to be taking part in this readathon again. This is the third or fourth year. I think it's the fourth year. And yeah, I'm really excited to be taking part in it. It is a month-long readathon that is hosted by Katie from Life Between Words, Krista from Books and Jams, and Amanda from The Curly Reader. And there's prompts, and there's going to be Instagram lives and a live read-in, all kinds of cool stuff. I will link their announcement videos down below if you want to check it out. So yes, I'm going to be taking part in that, but then I also have a couple of books that are not middle grade that I want to read this month. So let's go ahead and just get into it. So the first book that I'm going to hopefully be reading in March is for Roxane Gay's book club, the Audacious Book Club, and the March pick is The Removed by Brandon Hobson. And this is a book that, from what I understand, it deals a lot with Cherokee folklore and Cherokee heritage. It centers around a family that 15 years in the past, they lost their son. He was killed by a police officer, and they are still grappling with that loss. And I believe that it's a husband, a wife, and then they have another son and a daughter. And the book sort of centers around all of them and kind of focuses on how each of them is still affected by the loss of their brother. And I think the kind of main plot point of the book is that the family typically does this annual bonfire because it coincides with the Cherokee National Holiday, and it is also the day that their son Ray died. So I believe it's the mother kind of wants to get everyone together so that they can kind of reminisce and whatnot. And as that day approaches, they all start to sort of experience these sort of supernatural things, maybe a little bit of a touch of spirituality. So it has some folklore elements, it has some supernatural elements, and it also is very much a family drama. So I'm kind of excited to check it out. The audiobook is available on Scribd, so I'm really hoping that I'll be able to listen to it this month. The next book that I'm hoping to read in March is for the Buzzword Reading Challenge, and this month's buzzword is time. So I'm going to be reading The Devil All the Time by Donald Ray Pollock. I don't know if this is actually a horror novel, if that's what it's technically classified as. It kind of seems like it has a little bit of a horror vibe because it deals with a guy who is living in the backwoods of Ohio. His wife is really sick. His son is kind of heading down a wrong path. He's getting into trouble and he just is kind of lost, you know, and it kind of, from what the blurb says, it seems like it kind of deals with his community and all of the various cast of characters that are in this community. The blurb, it says that there is a demented team of serial killers, a spider-eating preacher, and a corrupt local sheriff. So I've heard that this has great characters, great writing, that it's very gritty, and has like kind of borderline horror elements. So I'm really excited to check it out. And I'm hoping that when I read the book, I will then be able to watch the Netflix adaptation because it looks really good. Okay, so now we are getting into my middle grade March TBR. I'm so excited for middle grade March. I think this is just a very fun readathon to do. And it's a great way to kind of highlight middle grade books and how awesome they are. So yeah, there are 5 prompts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sorry. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. The first prompt is to read a book with a silhouette on the cover. So for that, I'm going to be reading Christina's Ghost by Betty Wren Wright. There is a silhouette on this particular edition right there. And this is about a young girl named Christina who goes to stay with her uncle who lives in a big old Victorian mansion, and she, after being there a few days, sees the ghost of a little boy. And he's very sad and upset, and she wants to know why and wants to know what happened to him and why he's haunting this house. And it turns out that 30 years prior, there was a murder that took place in the house. And so she's wondering if maybe he is somehow connected to that murder. So this just sounds really cool. I have actually never heard of Betty Wren Wright before researching books for this readathon, and she sounds like somebody I would really, really like. Some of her books just sound awesome. And so yeah, this one will be my first read of hers, and if I like it, I'm gonna probably want to get like all of her books. Okay, the next prompt is to read a book with a strong family element or found family element, and for that I am going to be reading Front Desk by Kelly Yang. This is about a young girl named Mia who lives at a motel, and her parents clean the rooms, and she runs the front desk and kind of helps out the guests that are staying at the motel. But also she and her parents are hiding immigrants that are coming in and letting them stay in the rooms for free, and the owner of the motel is not aware of this, and if he were to find out, they would get in a lot of trouble. So she kind of has to keep that secret going. And then she's also just dealing with like normal middle grade stuff and kind of figuring out like what she wants to be. She's really into writing. So I decided to go with this book for this prompt because it seems like there is a lot of family elements in here, because she is obviously doing this huge thing with her parents. And yeah, so I don't know. I think I've heard great things about this book. I've heard it's really good. And even though it is like kind of fun, it also deals with some really tough topics. So I'm really, really excited about this one. So the next prompt is to read a book that features a journey or an adventure. And for that, I am going to be reading the third book in the Chronicles of Narnia series, and that is The Voyage of the Dawn Treader by C.S. Lewis. And this one is about our cast of characters from some of the previous books. They are on a ship called the Dawn Treader, and they are traveling in search of the 7 lords who were once in Narnia but were banished by this, basically this evil king who usurped the throne. And they're trying to find them and bring them back to Narnia, I'm assuming. So yeah, that sounds like a great journey, a great adventure, and I'm excited to keep going along in this series. The next prompt is to read a book that has a fairy tale vibe or is a retelling, and for that I'm going to be reading Thejumbies by Tracy Baptiste. And this is about a young girl named Corinne who claims to not be afraid of anything. She's a very brave girl, and one day she is out in the woods and she chases this creature into the woods and then sees a pair of yellow eyes staring back at her, and she thinks that it might be a jumbie, which up until that point she kind of thought was just this creature that parents sort of invented to scare their kids. But then she kind of starts to wonder. And then the next day when she's at the market, she sees this stranger who's very beautiful, but she kind of gets weird vibes from her. And it turns out that she is this person named Severin, who has a plan to take over the island that Corinne lives on and have it overrun with the Thejumbies. So she kind of has to like save her island, and with the help of her friends and everything, and be like the hero. So the reason I chose this one is because it is this story is taken from Caribbean folklore. So yeah, this should be really fun. It sounds like it's gonna be spooky, and you know me, I love some spooky stuff, especially spooky middle grade. So yeah, this will be cool. And then the final prompt is to read a book that was published or is set in the decade that you were born. I decided to go with a book that was published in the decade I was born, which is the 1980s. And I'm going to be double dipping and reading Christina's Ghost by Betty Run Wright. This book was published in 1983, so it's older than me. I was born in 1984. So yeah, like I said, I am really excited about this one and hope that I love it so that I can read more of Betty Run Wright's work. And then I wanted to mention briefly the group read for Middle Grade March. I hope to get to it this month. I believe the audiobook is available on Script, so that's what I'm kind of hoping I'll be able to get it and listen to it throughout the month. But the book is called The Brave by James Bird, and it's about a boy named Colin who has OCD and goes to live with his mother on an Ojibwe reservation, and he doesn't really know her that well. He's been sort of estranged from her, but he goes there and finds that he is very welcomed, and that his OCD is also managed very well there, and he's very accepted, and he's just really starting to get along and really become more comfortable with himself. And so yeah, I think it's going to be a really good book. I hope that I get to it in time. Alright guys, so those are all my reading plans for March. Lots of middle grade books though. I am super excited because I've been reading a lot of kind of heavy stuff lately. And so I think that even though some of the middle grade stuff is going to deal with heavier topics, I think that it's going to be just a little bit of a nice break. But it'll also be nice to have a couple of those more adult books kind of dispersed in there too to break it up. So yeah, let me know down below if you are taking part in Middle Grade March and what you're planning to read for the readathon, because I would love to know what everybody is planning to read and how they're filling the prompts. That's always really fun to do and to hear about from other people. So yeah, I hope March treats you guys well, and I will talk with you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.